Hi, chickens. The only thing I love more than a corrie up my batty hole is watching the Triple B show. So you cheat your man's best light, subscribe, and donate to Base Boxing Basement.
Oh, get out of here, man. How did you Battymans get on the Triple B show? Get out. Don't show your face again, you wrongin'. We don't allow this kind of sickness on the Triple B show. Anyway, we're talking about... So we had the first press conference, right, for Lethal Leigh Wood. He's Anthony Cacace, the Apache. Anthony the Apache Cacace, who's... obviously, it's an Italian name. He must be of Italian origin, but he's Irish. And Leigh Wood, Lethal Leigh Wood, which he hilariously spells Leigh hyphen THAL. That's highly amusing. I like your play on words, Lee. Yeah, they had a press conference. They haven't announced any of the undercard, which is a bit disappointing for me for a press conference. It's a Frank Warren Queensberry Promotions. But the good news is that Fish Eyes doesn't put on that much woman fights. So hopefully that's more of a Matchroom thing and Ben Shalom thing, and a Matchroom thing. But so hopefully the undercard will be, bereft of whack female boxing. But it was quite weird too. They usually announce at least a few fights, right? Now Frank Warren, as you know, Queensberry, has now moved to DAZN from, what was he at, TNT, formerly BT Sports. So he's moved on to DAZN. So DAZN is, you know what, it's the only channel I actually subscribe to, because they do so much boxing. Obviously, I've got a stick, a stick, if you know what I'm talking about. But, you can't watch, I don't know, I can't seem to watch replays on it. You might be able to, but I haven't seen how to. So, I'll watch with DAZN. They've always got the replay to rewatch. So if it's a late night show, I can watch it the next day. And it's the only one I subscribe to. And last year I subscribed to a year, and that really hurt, but it was a lot cheaper. And I probably will resubscribe, I think, unless I can figure out how to rewatch contests on my stick. So, Lethal Leigh Wood vs Anthony Cacace. It's at super featherweight. So Leigh Wood's moved up. They both looked in really good shape, especially Leigh Wood. Leigh Wood looked, virtually not far away, from the weight limit. He's been out for a long time, Leigh. It's a bit strange. Some people accuse him, right, of taking 2 years off or whatever. Almost 2 years. It's only almost 2 years. So some people said he was riding a, silent ban, But it's a bit weird for Leigh Wood not to fight in almost 2 years when he is, what is he? I think he's like 35, right? And he makes money. He makes money, so that was a bit weird. His last fight was against Josh Warrington, which he was losing, and then he KO'd Warrington. It's not the first time he's done that. He's got a great punch, Leigh Wood. Slightly chinny, but a great punch. He's been done by Mauricio Lara. He smashed Michael Conlan in the last round after being down hard in the first round. I was at that fight. Conlan was winning on points until Leigh Wood, on all the cards, he was winning on points, albeit two of them just by a round. But yeah, it's a bit weird because Conlan was knocked down in the 11th, and then out of the ring in the 12th. So scorecards weren't needed. It's not important. Kanzu, I won a lot of money on, well, not a lot of money, I won decent money on Leigh Wood beating Kanzu because I thought Kanzu was overrated. And he really turned his career around, Leigh Wood. He seemed he was going to be a British level fighter, European level. He lost a majority decision to James Jazza Dickens. And I don't mean to be mean, but he's one of the ugliest people I've ever seen. I do feel mean, because it looks on everything, character, personality, decency, loyalty. All these things are more important. But, you got to call a spade a spade. If you see a spade, right, in your room, and it looks like a spade, it feels like a spade, and it is a spade, it's a spade, right? I'm talking about the gardening utensil, not not any other kind of slur, right? But James Dickens, yeah, is ugly. But anyway, what else? Who else did he beat? He beat David Oliver Joyce, who was unbeaten at the time. I mean, he always had some good wins. He got KO'd by Gavin McDonnell in 2014. That's 11 years ago, man. For the British Super Bantam belt. I think Gavin McDonnell is one of those forgotten British world champions. Did he win a world championship, McDonnell? Like sort of Rocky Fielding type, them guys that people just, just don't imagine would ever win a world title. I might be wrong. Let me have a look. No, he fought for. I was wrong. Excuse me. He fought for the world title against Rey Vargas. He lost a majority decision. But most people say he lost kind of clearly. It's only the extremely dodgy Ian John Lewis that had it a draw. So Leigh Wood, he sort of came into his prime. He sort of suddenly hit world class. And I like stories like this because Leigh Wood is, from Nottingham, a proper working class lad who wasn't expected to do anything, and then he became world champion and made some good money. So good on him. And he seems very likable. In the press conference, Cacace and Wood were both real nice. There was no slating each other. They both said, yeah, I think I'm going to win, by knockout probably. And so, it's hard to dislike Leigh Wood for what he's achieved and the excitement he's brought to the boxing game. His KO of Michael Conlan was called KO of the Year by a variety of different publications and people. He did get done by Maurizio Lara in his next fight after Conlan, but then he outpointed Lara, who came in way overweight. It was a weird fight. And then he KO'd, of course, Josh Warrington, went behind on points. He's got a great punch. I think Tyron Booth, I don't really like to talk about Tyron Booth, because he's disloyal. He's got no friends. He's a grass. He's a pervert. I don't want to talk about nonsense and grapery either. But he said that, Leigh Wood hit extremely hard, especially for his size. He was like shocked at how hard the guy hit. So, and he's got 17 KOs out of 28, which 28 wins, that is, 31 fights. So it doesn't, that indication is that he isn't such a big puncher. That's not a massive KO ratio, but he's bummed enough people out, And later on, he carries his power late. He's got he knocked out Conlan and Kanzu in the 12th round. He knocked out Reece Malden in the 9th round. David Oliver Joyce in the 9th round. Ryan Doyle in the 10th round. So he carries his power. It's not like Jalei Zhang, who fades. His power fades after round 4. But, like I said, both of them were so likable. It was a real nice press conference. Just a nice chat. 2 real boxers, 2 working class, boxers. The only problem with disappointing Leigh Wood for me is this. I told you that he's a degenerate pervert, okay? I don't even mind his broccoli head, his noodle head haircut, which he shouldn't have at his age. That's a 15-year-old's haircut. But whatever, man. He can do what he wants. It's his head. If he wants to look like he's poured a pot noodle on it and covered it in a brown sauce, then he can do that. But, that's up to him. But the real problem is this, not his noodle head. The problem is his revolting degeneracy. Like I said before. Even Booth said that he bumped into him on the road and he was on his way, casually strolling to an OJ. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm just not on orgy. I'm pretty sure I won't get demonetized for using that word, but I mean, and he invited Booth over. That's super creepy and weird. And then, like I said, he used to let people smash the mother of his children while he watches in the cuck chair. I'm sorry, man. It doesn't matter who you are. If you get up to that, you are sick. The rumor is he lost a James Dickens fight because his mind wasn't on the job. Because he let his best friend. Can you imagine this? His best friend smashed his wife while he was sitting in the cuck chair. You know, watching the action as if he was watching a TV. You know, he was if he was watching a boxing match on TV, watching his best mate smash his girl, and he wasn't sure, and then he took his turn. I mean, it's disgusting, man. Well, when did this kind of stuff become normal? You go back to the 50s, you'd be ostracized. No one would talk to you for this stuff. Everyone would know you are wrong, and they wouldn't want you anywhere near them. You'd have no mates. You'd have no mates like the Brazil head Tyne Booth. Yeah, the low IQ Brazil-headed Tyne Booth, who's Leigh Wood's partner in orgies. Blech, blech. You know, who knows? He might let Tyne have a go on his bird as well, which is extremely gross. You know, she should probably be tested for STDs if that's the case. But yeah. So, you know, and he allegedly she became pregnant soon after that, and people were like, he didn't even know who the dad was, whether it's him or his best mate. I mean, that is some kind of sickness. That's some Sodom and Gomorrah sickness, and we don't support that stuff on the Triple B show at all. It's degenerate, it's disgusting. But apart from that, he's a lovely guy. So, and he's a very exciting boxer to watch. Yeah. I've seen him box live twice. And both were wins, including the Conlon fight. I trolled Coogan. Coogan was side-eyeing me, man, when I was filming him. So he's fighting Anthony Cacace, the Irish. I guess he's of Italian extraction, judging by that name, but he definitely talks like an Irishman. He's 36 himself, so neither of them are spring chickens. Okay? Cacace has a good record, 23 wins and only 1 loss, but only 8 wins by KO. Okay? So that's you know, that's not a puncher, or at least he doesn't seem like a puncher. But then he knocked out Joe Cordina in 8 rounds. I think Joe Cordina was flat to deceive. He seemed to suddenly start punching hard and all that when he went to the egg gym. Was it the Sims gym? Yeah, the same one with Conor Benn and all these guys like him, Felix Cash, Conor Benn, suddenly started banging everyone out and getting real muscular physiques. But I really thought Cordina would win. I honestly, I really did not think that Cacace would win. You know, his 1 loss is to Martin Ward, who's, you know, yeah, his level, he's okay, but he's nothing special. And you know, I just looking at his resume, you know, there wasn't anything outstanding about it. There's nothing to suggest, yeah, that he would beat Joe Cordina, let alone on stoppage. Before he fought Cordina, he'd gone something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in a row went on points, including 1 loss to Martin Ward. And 4 of those were 12-rounders. Sorry, 5 of those were 12-rounders, including the last 4. And then he banged out Joe Cordina. It was shocking to me. A shocking upset to me. No one really talked about it, but to me it was a shocking upset. And then I'd actually forgotten he had this fight. He didn't follow that up with a defense against Josh Warrington. You know, the Space Raider head. Warrington's lost 3 in a row now. I'm pretty sure he's retired. If he isn't, he should. You know, and you know, he's he's made money, Warrington. He can ride off into the sunset. So Cacace is now fighting Leigh Wood for the IBO World Super Feather title. Now it seems to be, I don't know the story now looking at it, but when he beat Cordina, that was for the IBF World title. So I don't know whether he's been stripped or whatever. Or he dropped it. I don't know. I think he dropped it. That was right. I think he dropped the IBF title because they wanted him to fight a mandatory, and he'd rather fight Warrington for more money, which is fair enough. But so he's still IBO World Super Feather Champion for whatever that means. Who wins? Who wins? That's the big question, of course. As I said, Leigh Wood already looks in great shape, and apparently he's been training for like best part of a year, waiting for a fight. You know, so some people think that might, you know, he might wear himself out. He might, you know. overtrained, but he looked in great shape. He had a good tan. He's obviously been on the sunbeds. He's got every look of a sunbed queen, hasn't he? Let's see what the bookies have got for this fight, right? Because, the bookies never get this. People always think the bookies get it perfect. They don't. And that's where you make your money. Yeah, so the bookies have Leigh Wood at 2.62 decimal. That's gone down. It was actually open at 2.75, but now 2.62, and Cacace at 1.66. So relatively even, but Cacace is a favourite. If you want a decimal, so you put £100, you get £262 back on Leigh Wood, and that's £162 profit. If you dump it on Cacace, you get £166 back, of which 66 is profit. So I mean, this is interesting. The other one is obviously method of victory, 2.4 for Cacace by decision. I don't think Cacace has been dropped. So, despite the fact Leigh Wood's got a solid puncher, which isn't reflected in his record, I don't think Cacace has been ever dropped. And he does look like he's got a solid chin. He's got a solid beard, that's for sure. But then again, Cacace was not meant to be a puncher, and he ironed out Joe Cordina. So, what can you say? Who's going to win? Because it's in Nottingham. Yeah, because it's in Nottingham and with the crowd and all that. And I never really rated Cacace that much. I'm thinking. My first instinct is leaning towards Leigh Wood, but the problem is that Leigh Wood has so often been behind on the points when he's won the fight by KO. Okay, but Cacace's got very, very solid chin. So it's a hard one to predict. To me, it's not a fight I'd bet on. I don't see any value in them odds. To me, it's an even fight. Leigh Wood may well be stronger having moved up in weight. But can he crack that iron chin of Cacace? I don't know. I'm just looking forward to the fight. I might go and see it, you get me? I might go and see it. I like Nottingham. I got a couple of pals in Notts, It's I quite like the city or the town, wherever it is. The arena there is really nice. I've seen a couple of fights there, both Leigh Wood fights against Mauricio Lara, and that's the second one which he won, and I also seen him iron out Michael Conlan. So I like it. So I might go up there. And I'll do a lot of trolling. But I mean, again, this is a good fight. Yes. Is it strictly a world title? Well, many people would argue no, but it should be for the IBF title if you hadn't been stripped. And the IBO is gaining in popularity. It's got some good champions, or has had some good champions. The IBO, including of course Prince Patel. Okay. It's a hard one to call. It's an even fight as far as I'm concerned. If you hold a gun to my head, I'm going for Leigh Wood because it's in Nottingham. Yeah, I think, and Leigh Wood can win, victories on points. I think Cacace is a better boxer for sure, but if Cacace, it depends. If Cacace starts taking big shots on the chin, it could turn the fight around to Wood's favour. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But, yeah, good fight. What did I say it was? May the 10th? Yeah, nice. And let's just hope there's a good undercard. I just want to add one thing, which is quite weird, right? So, boxers are not very good at heights. I mean, boxers are always lying about their heights, right? But apparently Leigh Wood is only 5'7", which to me is a midget. But, he's only 5'7". And Cacace is, according to BoxRec, right, he's 5'10", 3 inches taller. Look at this picture. There's no way, man. They look exactly the same height. Unless Cacace is wearing, lifts or something, which I don't think he is. It just shows you how silly what lies there are that surround boxers' heights. Like Tyson ain't no 6'9". The most he is 6'7.5". And you notice in all the pictures he's always standing on his tiptoes. But yeah, I mean, that's just silly. They seem identical heights.